Representative Lauren Boebert is not the smartest person in government. Oh, no, really now, you say. No, either she's incredibly dumb, or she thinks her voters are incredibly dumb, or maybe there's a mixture of the two, and I'm not sure which ratio is what. An example of this is when she made an analogy recently between COVID-19, which has killed almost 700,000 Americans, 688,000 to be precise, and a common headache. Here's what she tweeted. I woke up with a headache this morning. I took some Tylenol. Now, if everyone else could take some Tylenol too, so mine would start working, that would be great. And she used an office meme. Or I'm sorry, Office Space meme. So imagine typing that tweet out, hitting send, and thinking, got him, nailed it. Got what? What did you get? What did you get? I mean, headaches are not contagious. You know what's contagious? Viruses. Weird. Though, of course, to be fair, Boebert's stupidity is actually starting to give me a headache. So I guess you nailed it. Kind of. I guess that's what they mean by painfully stupid. It doesn't cause the person who's being stupid pain, but everybody around them. Lucky for me, a headache is far more treatable than a bad case of COVID-19. But I just wonder, what if there was a way to ensure the chances of getting COVID-19 were very, very small? Oh, right, there is one. Yeah, it turns out it's called getting a vaccine. But, vaccines tend to only really work best for a society if a large amount of people, if the majority of the population gets it. That way you can develop something called herd immunity when you have over 70 or maybe even 90% of the population that is inoculated, which obviously dampens and blunts the effect of the virus and reduces its spread. I know, weird, right? And does it all without killing massive amounts of people. So now, here's the thing. I may have just cracked this whole thing wide open when it comes to the right wing. So now conservatives like Boebert, they say, well, the vaccine doesn't work. You still get sick with COVID if you have the vaccine. So what's the point? What's the point? Well, as I've explained many times, the point is, yes, there can be breakthrough infections, of course. But when you get the vaccine, first of all, it's much more difficult to get COVID-19 once you've been vaccinated. But if it does happen, which again is called a breakthrough infection, the symptoms are milder. So you are way less likely to go to the hospital with a severe infection. This is why 99% of all hospitalizations are among the unvaxxed, because since they don't have the antibodies to fight it, they are hit much, much harder and have to go to the hospital. But if you are vaccinated and you get a breakthrough infection, again, you're generally not going to require hospitalization. That's why vaccines are effective. Both incredibly good reasons to get vaccinated, but apparently not good enough for Republicans like Lauren Boebert, who, by the way, going back to how I cracked this whole thing open, the fact that Republicans, they don't care about other people. And this is their argument, right? So here's what a lot of them think, right? You just put yourself into MAGA mind, right? Oh, no, okay, I'm going to tune into MAGA mind, all right? Sounds a lot like Megamind. Okay. Trump, very good. Lib's bad. Okay. Science bad. Jesus, I'm covering him a lot of Jesus. Okay. If I get COVID, I got antibody. I got an immune system. I'm gonna be fine. Vaccines are bad. Okay. I don't really care. And if I get it, I don't really care if I give it to somebody else. I don't care if they give it to other people, give it to somebody else. Doesn't affect me. That's their problem. Not mine. Freedom. Me. Why should I do something that I don't want to do for your benefit? For your benefit, especially when I don't see any benefit for me once I actually get sick. So now, of course, that shatters if they actually do get sick. For the most part, usually they'll end up in the hospital going, oh God, why didn't I take the vaccine? Please do something. Just inject it right here. Just put it in my veins. Please. Oh God. And then at that case, at that point in time, it's too late. Usually too late. Now, of course, some have held on and said, oh, no, I don't want the vaccine. Give me the horsey paste. Knowing that it's very likely going to do more harm than good. So, but again, totally childish mindset. MAGA brain, total baby brain. Now, thanks to right-wing media, who's been pushing the ivermectin stuff, apparently they're huffing. I know there's a new thing every single day. First, it was like the fish tank cleaner, and then you got the and then you got the horse paste, and then you got the, which is weird because like if any of the stuff worked, why do they keep having to find new stuff? The newest thing that they were putting in like inhalers. Hydrogen, no, it couldn't be hydrogen peroxide. I read something earlier that couldn't have been what is it? Okay, hydrogen peroxide. I gotta look this up. They're doing something. They're doing something, and I have to double check. Oh dear God, it is. It's true. Hydrogen peroxide. They're huffing through inhalers. Dear God. What are you? Oh, honey, what are you doing? What is wrong with you? No, don't do that. I've also heard of the iodine. What are you doing? So, but this is a result of all of this stuff is a result of disinformation from right-wing sources, but there's a reason that the people believe it, and that's due to selfishness. Okay? And so let me give you an example of this. Okay? A recent Gallup poll found that unvaccinated Republicans were significantly less informed than the average American on vaccine efficacy, which Gallup analysts suggested could be tied to the media that they consume. So you're on conservative media, you watch Fox News, or you're on Newsmax, or you're getting your information from right-wing memes on Facebook, then you're less, obviously, less. You're literally dumber than someone who consumes news from other sources. So think about that for a second. You're dumber. Okay, let's put it a different way. You're more ignorant. You're more ignorant than someone who gets their news from other places. News. And I say news, quotation marks, because obviously what they're getting is not news. It's not actual information. What they're getting is opinion, for one, and there's nothing wrong with opinion, but if you try to disguise your opinion that is wrong as factual information, then you are doing a disservice. You're actually literally hurting people. And that's what's going on. Now, and the thing is, they believe this stuff because they have a choice of where they can consume their news. They're not locked in to getting their news from Fox, but they choose to continue to turn it on and continue to listen to Dr. Carlson, talk about Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend's balls. And they do this so that they don't have to admit that they should care about other people. They should care about other people, but they also don't want to admit that they don't care about other people. No, what are you talking about? I'm pro-life. I'm pro-life Republican. Except I don't care at all about a woman's body autonomy. Don't care at all. I'm pro-life. But I don't care if somebody comes down with COVID that I don't know. I don't really care about that because it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me at all. And so that's what it is. That's what they say. Also, and it's why they come up with conspiracies, because they want to feel special, right? Oh, it's not safe. This person said this and that. My cousin's friend's uncle's brother, they had swollen balls from the vaccine, so that just gives me an excuse not to take it. It's an only excuse to feel special and not have to have empathy for other people, which again is pretty ironic because right-wingers scream constantly about how we have to care about them and their feelings and their opinions. That's what MAGA was all about. It's white grievance. All this talk about the silent majority. Oh, real Americans. Yeah, real Americans are conservative. We're patriots. Yeah, cancel culture. Terrible. You're silencing us. No, it's all because we're hurting conservatives' feelings, their fifis, by just living our lives in the way that they don't approve of, without their religion dictating our lives, without their, supposed sense of morals dictating our lives, or, with any of that. And of course, there's all sorts of projection on this, where they say, oh no, it's the libs that want to control your life. Oh, look at all these rules. Oh, these mask mandates. And again, not knowing that this is temporary for public health, and that we've always had vaccine mandates, for example, and that the Biden vaccine mandates only apply to federal workers anyway, and companies over 100 employees. And that's in response to a massive crisis. And had we actually done something about it earlier, it wouldn't have gotten to this bad. But again, that's what this is all about. Ban critical race theory. Why? Because it hurts my feelings. Everything hurts my feelings. People are the most sensitive motherfuckers on the planet. And that's why they chose Donald Trump. That's why they continue to choose Donald Trump, because he represents them by having the thinnest skin of all. The people are saying the skin, very, very thin, tremendously thin, like a big, beautiful sheet of white paper, very, very thin. No, there's no reality into what Lauren Boebert said at all. It's just dumb. It's just so dumb. But that's not all. We got more dumb tweets, by the way, from Boebert. This is more recent. Here's what she said. Quote, government is not God. Okay, and I actually agree with that. Government is not God. What are you implying by that? Literally, no one believes that government is God. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. Some people do. Actually, there are conservatives that do believe that Donald Trump was literally made president by God. Like God fingered him from heaven. And, well, that sounded dirty. Donald Trump, you in office, my will. They believe that. They believe that. But but honestly, though, it's something conservatives have always done. Remember, conservatives, back in the Revolutionary War, for example, conservatives were the ones in the red coats, believing in the divine right of kings, okay? In conserving the status quo. That's what this is. Now, here's the thing. I don't believe in the status quo. I don't believe in the divine right of kings. We rightly corrected that by ending it in the Western world. But understand, this is what Boebert is doing here. Now, I'm sure if you've watched a tiny bit of conservative media, or even progressive media like ours, like mine, that does critique things that they say in conservative media, you might have seen them talk about how, oh, it's the radical left. We worship government. Oh, the radical left, they worship government. They've made government their God. Well, first of all, we're not weak sauce individuals that need to deify everything. And yet, you deify Ronald Reagan. He's a deity. You deify Donald Trump. Obviously, you've done that. Gone back and deified George Washington. You tried to claim MLK Jr. and deify him, but only, by the way, only as somebody who was, not radical at all, which if you know anything about Martin Luther King Jr., you know that he was absolutely radical. He was a democratic socialist. But that's what happens when you deify something, or attempt to deify something. You whitewash it. You take all the bad traits out. And you say, and by the way, bad is pretty subjective here. But they'll go and take anything that's inconvenient out of that person and say, well, look at that. We should aspire to that, Donald Trump. They do this all the time. So it's massive, massive projection. And so here's the thing, though. Now, as far as, well, radical left, right? Radical left. Do we believe that government has a role in solving big issues? Absolutely. Yeah, of course. Healthcare, education, climate issues, infrastructure. Yeah, we believe in all that. Why? Why? Well, because those things are issues. Those things are projects that are too big for local and state governments to take on. The whole point of a federal government or a central government is to solve problems that are too big for local and state governments to handle because they have resources. And not only that, but it provides a framework or a foundation for the states, especially when, of course, these states are dealing with each other. And so if we didn't have that, understand that we already tried something like that system early on in the country's foundation. There were the Articles of Confederation, okay? Basically, it gave the states a lot of autonomy. And what happened? And a very, very weak central government. What happened? It was an absolute disaster. They scrapped that. They scrapped that and then proposed the federal system that we have today with a strong federal government, but with states' rights. That's what happened. That's what they had to do. And so, again, if we didn't have a central government that had authority, every state would be its own little nation or, city-state, for example, and it would be an absolute disastrous mess. Worse now than I would imagine, and our system's not great to begin with. And that belief, by the way, is mainly because, again, the federal government has resources and reach that states and localities do not have. That's why we, the people, have decided to give them that authority. And what is given can also be taken away through the democratic process, through the electoral process, as well as other ways. But that is way different than Jesus or God or whatever, which, by the way, the God of the Bible, and I'm talking specifically Old Testament here, is a pretty bloody and destructive autocrat. So, there's that. But it doesn't even matter. Because at the end of the day, the Bible isn't even part of the Constitution. God is not government. The government isn't God. We're a secular country founded on the idea that you can believe in whatever religion you want. That's fine. And that the government is not going to force you to believe in something else. That there should be a separation between the two. It's a real simple concept. Super simple. And yet, they continue to try to shoehorn their religion into the government and ironically try to make the government into a representative of their God. So this is another example. And Lauren Boebert is also incredibly corrupt. So there's so much projection, there's so much hypocrisy here, and there's so little information, so little fact. And that has come, her, and Marjorie Taylor Greene have really come to represent the Republican Party as it really is. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.